Hey Modians, I hope you're having a great day today. Welcome to the intricate world of branding, where every detail tells a story. A story that should be reflected through colors, shapes, words, and real-world experiences. Your brand story should be harmoniously consistent across all platforms and customer touchpoints. However, achieving this harmony isn't exactly easy, and there's actually a bit of a science to it. Today we're going to be talking about how to identify inconsistencies in your brand presence. In case you missed it, we've covered introductory topics such as the hidden cost of inconsistent branding, the 5 mistakes in your branding that could be costing you money right now, and the return on investment of professional design for your brand. If you haven't had a chance to see these yet, the links are in the description of this video, so please feel free to go and catch up before you come back here. Okay, let's dive in. Let's talk about brand auditing. A brand audit is an essential tool that helps identify and rectify inconsistencies in your brand, turning your brand into a well-orchestrated symphony that plays the same delightful melody, no matter where, how, or when your customers come into contact with you. No matter your business's size, having some sort of brand consistency in place is so important if you hope to develop brand recognition and grow your brand to the next level. By the way, here at Motor Courses, we're passionate about teaching business owners just like you about how to use Canva to smash your marketing goals. Check out our flagship course, the DIY Design Academy, if you're interested in learning about how color theory, graphic design principles, font best practices, and composition in graphic design can take your business to new heights. But for now, let's delve into how auditing your brand's consistency not only safeguards your brand's reputation, but also underscores the strength and memorability of your brand's narrative. Before we delve into the brand audit itself, I thought let's just touch on why it is important to have consistency in your branding. Obviously, you can go and catch up on our previous video, but this is just a brief overview that in the grand scheme of branding, consistency is much more than a buzzword. I know you hear it everywhere, but it really is something that is a foundation that you need to build upon because it's the very essence that breathes life into your brand. Imagine being an artist and your brand is like the masterpiece that you're working on. Now, would you want that masterpiece to be painted with hodgepodge of clashing colors and styles, or would you rather choose a cohesive palette that beautifully binds the artwork? The answer is pretty obvious. Consistency, much like that cohesive palette, presents your brand as a unified entity rather than a scattered collection of elements. Inconsistency, on the other hand, is like a chip on your brand's armor, creating a sense of confusion and mistrust. It muddles your brand image, dilutes your messaging, and chips away at your credibility, eventually leading to an erosion of customer loyalty. I always bring it back to, if you were standing in the mall and there was this shop that was all dark and gloomy and it had like no lights and colors and everything just looked, uninviting. Would you want to go in there? Probably not, but I'm sure you would walk into the store that was well lit, that smelled nice, that had seemingly friendly people inside, helping customers. The way that you're able to tell people that you provide that experience is through what you put out into the world, being your visual identity. So that's the first thing people see, and first impressions really do count, The brand's visual identity serves as the lighthouse that guides your audience towards your brand amidst a sea of competitors. This includes your logo, your color palette, and typography, all elements that should resonate with the same brand voice across all platforms. Your visual identity creates the first impression and cements the last, leaving an indelible mark on your audience's minds. Practically, understanding color theory and graphic design principles will help you DIY your visual branding using Canva design. So again, if you want to learn more about this, you can read more about our course in the description. Next, we need to talk about messaging. So if your visual identity is the ship, your messaging is the captain that steers it. It's not about what you say, but how you say it. Are you humorous and sincere, playful, or professional? This tonal consistency should resonate across all channels, making your brand a familiar voice in the market. So, it would be quite strange if when you are advertising on social media, you speak in a very friendly, warm, inviting tone that's very down to earth and relatable. But when people come to your shop, it's like very formal. People are wearing suits. They're going to feel like it's a completely different place. And, they might feel a little bit cheated because they were attracted to the warmth of your voice initially. And upon arriving at your store, it's just not like that. Ideally, you want to make sure that that experience and that messaging is the same across anywhere that they come into contact with you, so that it builds this feeling of trust and what they see is what they get, what they hear is what they get, and that we're not just going to chop and change on them all the time. Then lastly, let's talk about user experience. The experience your customers go through should feel like a joyride, not a roller coaster with highs and lows. So that's, like I mentioned, you don't want people to be like, oh, they're so friendly, and then get to your shop and you're not friendly. Whereas maybe if you had your messaging a little bit more professional and straightforward, then people would know to expect that, and it wouldn't feel like they're on a roller coaster. They'd just be like, oh, okay, that's what I thought. From From your website's navigability to the responsiveness of your customer service, the experience should be fluid, consistent, and reflective of your brand's core values. So just think about, across how you look, how you sound, and how you actually work, the experience that people will have when they are working with you or buying from you. Do they feel like the same person? You've almost got to think of it as a friend. You don't want to have like a far-faced friend. You want them to be authentic and honest and consistent so that you can rely on them and trust them. Okay, so now let's talk about conducting a brand audit. Conducting a brand audit may seem a bit daunting, but when broken down into practical steps, it does become more manageable and quite an enlightening adventure to go on. So step 1 is gathering your materials. The first step is like gathering the puzzle pieces to start building. This involves collecting all your brand assets and communications, from your social media posts to your website graphics to your email newsletters and your physical marketing collateral. So even if you don't have all of these things, whatever you do have, like pull together your links of your various online platforms, like if you have a website or a few social media pages, go ahead and just like make sure that you have everything with you. So once you do have everything with you, or even if you have some pamphlets, just get everything that you have for your brand or business. Then step 2 is reviewing the visual assets. Once you've gathered your materials, it's time to review your visual identity. Are your logo, color scheme, and typography harmoniously in sync across all platforms? Are there any off-brand visuals that are disrupting this harmony? Is the quality of your visuals clear through the visual hierarchy, color best practices, and other graphic design principles? So even if you don't know much about graphic design principles, I think you'll be able to look at your materials and see this logo that I'm using here is purple, and this one I'm using over here is yellow, and we're using greens and yellows in this design, but on this side we're using purples and blues. Just as a rule of thumb, you want to have around 5 colors that you use consistently throughout your brand, and you stick to those colors because that is what's going to help you form brand recognition. And then it's the same with typography. So the actual writing and font on your materials and on your website and on your social media designs, you need to make sure that those fonts are the same so that you can also form this brand recognition that people need. They need consistency to be able to tell who you are and remember who you are. And then in terms of your logo, definitely don't chop and change your logo, because that's, again, one of the first things that people see, and it is going to be confusing for them, and it's going to be hard for you to grow if nobody is able to recognize you. So just have a look at everything that you have and determine, are the fonts the same? Are the colors the same? Is my logo being used correctly? And just be like pretty cutthroat with yourself. Be straightforward and see what is working, what's not working, what do you like, what don't you like, and then ask yourself, what would your customer like? Because you got to remember, it's not actually about you, but rather your audience and what they want to see. So you can actually go and research a little bit about color psychology and the psychology behind design and how it affects your audience, because that'll give you a little bit of a better insight as to what you should be doing in this realm. And again, if you're not sure about any of that, that's totally okay. And you can check out DDA. We do discuss all of this, and we would be glad to help you. You can also just send us a DM and we can start talking about it if you do just want some quick offhand advice. Step 3 is analyze your messaging. Moving beyond the visuals, scrutinize your written content. Check if the tone, voice, and messaging are consistent across your different channels. Make sure the words echo the same brand story at each touch point. So once again, be very critical of all the materials in front of you, not in the sense of, this isn't good enough or beating yourself down, but rather in the sense of cohesiveness. So if you're sounding serious in this material, why is that so? And if you're sounding fun in this one, why is that so? And can you, between all of these inconsistencies, identify what you do want to be consistent for your audience? And then step 4, examine your user experience. Step into your customer's shoes and journey through their experience with your brand. Assess the consistency in this journey from the point of first contact to your after-sales service. Every interaction should reflect your brand promise and values. So just think, how would you want to be treated by a service provider or a company who's selling you products? You need to make sure that every single step is well thought out and that you have a process in place for that, because if you're sort of just figuring it out as you go with each customer or client, people can definitely tell, and it is going to prevent you from taking that next step with your business. So really start thinking about, how can I make this experience special, streamlined, and professional for my audience? Okay, so now we're going to talk about addressing the identified inconsistencies. Once these inconsistencies are brought to light, the journey towards rectification begins. Correcting these discrepancies and aligning the inconsistent elements with your brand narrative is crucial. Clear brand guidelines can serve as your compass, outlining your visual elements, brand voice, messaging, and more. They ensure that every detail aligns with your brand ethos and promotes a harmonious, consistent brand experience. So in terms of correcting these things, It's really up to you how you want to go about it. However, the simplest ways to do it is just in the beginning, selecting your font, like choose what is going to be your heading, what is going to be your subheading, what is going to be your paragraph, just to begin with. And then same with your color palette, ensure that you're sticking to the same 5 or 6 colors consistently, and then same with your logo. So when you're addressing all of this, you can either do it yourself, which we happily encourage. We think that everybody has the ability to learn how to create a strategic brand identity for themselves, and we do teach this through the DIY Design Academy if you do want to learn more about it on your end. Or of course you can chat to professionals and they will help you come up with the stuff for you. So we do also offer done for you services. If you would like to learn more about that, then just send us a message or leave a comment and then we'll get in touch. But what a professional would do is actually put together a brand guide that outlines, these are your fonts, these are your logos, these are your colors, this is the brand voice that you should be following. And then you can use that every time you're developing new materials or you're working with somebody to develop new materials. You can give them that brand guide to ensure that consistency is in place throughout. Then that being said, we actually are having a free training session live. However, if you're catching this afterwards, we will have a replay available for you to watch where we are doing a workshop on a brand audit. So what you'll get is a free brand audit checklist that actually has touch points for you to go through step by step. So it's a more in-depth version of this video really, where we actually dive into the finer points and details that you'll need to cover. And then we will actually show you how you can go about rectifying those things using Canva, which is a free design tool. So it'll help you set up your own brand kits and all of that. So if you're interested, please check the link in the description, and we'd love it if you could either join us live or catch the replay. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We hope to hear from you. But anyways, thanks so much for watching this. If you do have any more questions, please just let us know. You can send us a DM on Instagram or on Facebook if you want, or you can leave your questions in the comments here on YouTube. Bye, Modians. Hope you have a great day.